Three Rings is a set of tools to help you run your voluntary organization. It's sometimes described as volunteer and rota management software, but as you'll see, it's so much more than that. Since 2002, Three Rings has been made available to non-profit organizations of all kinds of shapes and sizes, from tiny local community groups doing good in their local area, all the way up to international charities and household names. This is going to be a whirlwind tour. If you like what you see, click the link near this video to get in touch with us and get a guided tour, more information, or access to a demo so you can play with it for yourself. Today, we're going to log into an imaginary voluntary organization called Demo.org. We've just logged in as Esther. When we log into Three Rings, we find ourselves on the overview page, which welcomes us to the system and shows us the latest news and upcoming events at the organization where we volunteer. The latest news includes an update, and the upcoming events lists things that are relevant to the volunteer we've logged in as. Esther's doing a day shift with Anna on Thursday, and she's the shift leader for Sunday evening. And there's a training session coming up. Because we've logged in as Esther, and Esther's got a high level of access, there's a lot going on here. Tabs across the top provide access to all manner of different parts of Three Rings: Overview, Rota, Directory, Comms, File Store, Wiki, Stats, and Admin. And because Esther has permission to create and edit news items and events, she can see buttons and links corresponding to those activities too. It's up to you as an organization what powers you give to your volunteers. Plenty of organizations unlock only the Overview, Rota, and Directory tabs for the majority of their team. You've got near infinite flexibility in how many different levels of access you want to configure. For now, though, let's take a look at the Rota, which for many organizations is where they'll spend most of their time. The Rota shows a calendar of scheduled volunteering shifts, optionally broken up into different rotas. The organization we've logged into operates 3 rotas, one of day shifts, one of night shifts, and a corresponding shift leader shift alongside each of them. Every organization's rota will of course be different. A befriending helpline might have a single rota that runs 24 hours a day. A community theatre might have separate rotas for ushering and concession stands. A park beautification group might have an ad hoc litter-picking rota that doesn't run on a fixed schedule, and so on. You might need to use your imagination to think about how your rota would look in Three Rings. You can view the rota by days, weeks, or months, and you can turn on or off visibility, the kinds of shifts you need to see. You can see Esther's shifts clearly, which we read about on the overview page. All in all, this week looks pretty healthy at Esther's organization. But let's take a look at next week's rota. There are several gaps from Wednesday onwards where our rota is understaffed. Let's sign some people up to it. Esther's organization operates in a self-sign-up mode, where volunteers can select their own shifts. You don't have to work that way. Three Rings supports organizations where shifts are assigned to volunteers, either by a rota secretary or by an automated algorithm too. The choice is yours. But for now, let's have Esther use her administrator powers to sign somebody else up to a shift. When most volunteers at Esther's organization click Sign Up, they're asked a simple yes or no. Do they want to sign up to that shift? But Esther's been given permission to sign anybody up to a shift. The drop-down box lets her select a volunteer to sign up. At the bottom of the list are volunteers who've indicated that they're unavailable at that time, so let's pick somebody who's free. Once we've selected them, we can click the Sign Up button, and they're now on the shift. And because Three Rings works online, all of your volunteers can see who's signed up to this shift from their computers, tablets, or mobile phones. They can even connect their calendars to Three Rings, so their volunteering shifts automatically appear alongside their other appointments. There's a lot to the rota, but this is just a quick tour, so let's move on to the directory. The directory retains all of the details of your volunteers, either as a photo wall, table, or spreadsheet. If we pick on somebody, say Alec, we can see all of the personal information we hold about that volunteer. Now, of course, it's entirely up to you to choose what information you store on your volunteers, and it's also up to you who can see and who can edit which bits of information. So if you want to store next of kin details and make those editable by the volunteer themselves, but only visible to members of the committee, you can do that. Esther's allowed to edit any of Alec's information, as you can see. Scrolling further down, we can see Alec's availability. He can't do Friday evenings, and any periods of inactivity. Looks like he's got a holiday coming up, which Three Rings will respect when suggesting shifts for him to do. We can see star charts of the shifts he's done and those he's scheduled to do in the future. These are sort of a cut-down version of the stats tools we'll see later. And we can see any roles Alec has been assigned. Alec has been on the committee for a while now, which grants him whatever permissions are associated with that role. Your organization can have as many roles as you like and grant whatever permissions you like to them, and volunteers can hold as many roles as you want, which makes them great not only for controlling access to Three Rings features, but also for helping your volunteers to know who's on the training team or the fundraising group, or who's the head of recruitment, for example. As I mentioned, at many organizations, most volunteers spend most of their Three Rings time on the overview, rota, and directory. But there's more to Three Rings than just those, so let's take a quick skim through the remaining tabs at the top of the screen. Comms lets you send emails or text messages, either individually or in bulk, to your volunteers. If I want to send a message to Anne and everybody on the committee, I can just type that into the to field. I can even exclude people. Maybe I want to send something to everybody on the committee except Alec. I can type my message, add any attachments, and send it. By default, unless you configure it otherwise, Three Rings will append a footer to each email it sends, reminding the recipient of the dates and times of their upcoming shifts. The file store, as its name suggests, is a place where you can store files. Training documents, minutes of meetings, volunteer handbooks, letters asking for funding, organizational newsletters, or anything else. You can control access on a folder-by-folder basis, so you might say, for example, that while any volunteer is allowed to read the minutes of the meetings, only the chair of the committee is allowed to upload them in the first place. The file store also includes a feature called the secret store, which is a place where you can keep shared secrets like passwords to other accounts, codes for door locks, and so on. Three Rings tracks who has ever accessed any given secret and can automatically prompt you which passwords need changing when a volunteer leaves. It can even generate two-factor codes, acting like a shared phone, that a group of authorized volunteers can share for the purpose of logging into a third-party system. The Wiki tab lets you host any number of wikis, collaborative workspaces that anybody can participate in. They're a bit like shared whiteboards, accessible to your entire organization. They're great for event planning, brainstorming, or retaining a living handbook of volunteer experience. One organization told us that they have a wiki just dedicated to collecting inspirational quotes to share with their team. The Stats tab is home to a variety of statistical reporting tools. The number of shifts report, for example, produces tables showing how many shifts volunteers have done over a given time period. Like all the stats reports, these can be viewed online, printed, or exported to spreadsheet programs or to third-party systems for further processing. The availability report shows the times of day throughout the week that are easiest or hardest for your volunteers to fulfill. And finally, the admin tab is where you can configure Three Rings to work the way you want it to. There's a lot to talk about here, and this is only the briefest of introductions. If you'd like to learn more, check out our website or get in touch with us. At over 22 years old, we're probably the longest-running digital service that's exclusively available to voluntary and charitable organizations. And as a voluntary organization ourselves, we know how important it is to have the right tools to support your volunteers' journey. Thanks for your time. We hope we'll hear from you soon.